be going to EMENES. It could be going to Zven. So they're kind of covering their bases, and they're just banning, instead of targeting one role specifically, they're basically just banning the strongest pairings or the strongest, champions for those players. As EMENES is really well known for his LeBlanc, has been so damn good on it in the NACL and in the LCS.
And if you're talking about banning champions specific to players, Summit's Gnar and Haeri's Ahri. These are incredibly favored champions for those two respective players, and those are the bans that C9 will levy in the second half of the draft. Team Liquid locks in the Akali.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this one here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is a dive buddy, right? I do think you need something to kind of go in with that Rakan, and I think that is going to be the answer. You have the Rakan going in, Lee Sin and Akali there to follow it up. It is going to be fifth pick here for Summit. With Jace still on the table, you don't want to pick anything that's weakened to Jace. That's one of those other real big specialties for Summit.
Yeah.
So Fudge is just going to go with something that is a brick wall. He's going towards the Sion here, something that isn't necessarily easy to really punish, because when you look over at the kind of champions that Summit wants to play, it doesn't really play the Fioras of the world, these types of champions that can kind of really punish a tank in that way.
Yeah.
Syndra also interesting here as an answer. So this is going to be support Annie, so it won't be an enchanter for Berserker. So something that you mentioned, is going to not have that additional kind of layer of power that we're used to seeing from Zeri in the later stages, when we had seen Zeri Yuumi in the past and Zeri Lulu more common more recently. This feels like it's more mid-gamey as a result, because you don't have that same level of protection. Berserker can't play as crazy without an enchanter in his back pocket, but it does give him a tremendous amount of burst here. And the ability to really dive into those backlines. And it's going to be Cho'Gath as the answer for Summit, which is a really strong tank matchup. And you can use the silence to actually interrupt the Q, the slam coming through from Sion. You can kind of trade pretty favorably, I think, in a lot of these matchups. And you just hit a point where, but this is going to be an exciting one here. TL versus Cloud9, really important game here for TL. Now, this is a big test for them this weekend, but they did take down FlyQuest yesterday, so they're going up against the two teams that are tied for first in the same weekend. And coming into this weekend, I was looking at it like, you got to get to 9 wins if you're TL, and I was thinking they were going to have an 0-2 weekend. I think that's how most people were looking at this coming in, that they were predicting that they were going to be going down to the two best teams in the league. They already got a win against FlyQuest, so they could theoretically lose to Cloud9, then 3-0 the Super Week and still get into playoffs. But if they win here, all of a sudden you're really thinking, damn, this team is actually someone that is going to be a lot stronger than what their seeding could indicate.
Exactly. That's why I say I'm glad they put Pyosik back on this early playmaker in the league. I'm glad that we have CoreJJ on a powerful, engaged team fighter, because I think that's going to give them the best chance to give us the best showing here today up against C9. EMENES also on the Syndra. We were talking a little bit about how the Victor game was by far his weakest game. He's looked much better since then. I think this will be sort of a good chance to say, okay, is it that he's just better on these more mobile, like playmaking, aggressive type of champions, or is he also equally as good on control mages and he just had a bad game?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think the other thing is, even regardless of the champion, it was his first game on the LCS stage. Almost everyone is going to be really nervous in that situation. And if I recall quickly, it was against Golden Guardians, and they even said in the post-game interview that part of their strategy was actually focusing him because they expected him to be nervous in his first game. So, I do think you can get a little bit of a pass for that, and we'll have to reevaluate, how he's going to perform on these types of champions, because as you say, you want to have a mid laner who's well-rounded. It's great that he has this clear strength, that he is really, really powerful on these aggressive champions, these playmakers. But you also, when it's appropriate, need to have a mid laner who can play the control mages, who can play these different styles and still be successful.
I mean, that's the difference between a good player and a great player, right? Good player can play something really well. Great player can play all sorts of things to the same degree, adapt to whatever the meta game is. And speaking of great players, Blaber, one of the greats from North America in the jungle. He's always his most fun to watch on aggressive picks too, I think. So having something like the Viego back in here, letting him be able to pop off as he goes for an invade on Pyosik's Lee, who's still sitting at around half health. His mid laner is also stuck underneath turret right now. Over the wall goes Blaber.
Both have smite.
They're going to fight for the wolf. Nice. Pyosik's going to secure the big one there. Secures the smaller one too with the Sonic Wave. Safeguards out to the ward, but now he's half HP. The enemy jungler's stealing his blue.
Yeah, and Pyosik has no smite, so now he actually can't challenge on this. Blaber lost that smite, but he can continue the push here. And it's all off of that ward that they actually had on Raptors. It has expired now, but they saw Pyosik there. They do a 3-camp clear. It is both of TL's bot laners moving up, but with smite available, Blaber has pulled it to an appropriate place. There's nothing they can really do about it. And that roam, it's not going to cost them too much, but my guess is that you can expect Yeon at least miss, 1 or 2 minions on that. So a little bit of pressure. It's just really nice. It doesn't cost them much, and it is exerting some pressure on the map. Blaber moving back in, trying to see if the Gromp was still available. It was not, but now he can start immediately on this bot side scuttle. And if you can get pushed from EMENES, you could potentially actually double scuttle here. So we'll see if he wants to go for that, because clearly he wants to be challenging Pyosik. He's pinging towards top side. So now it's EMENES' job, just hard shove. And he is going to be able to have that push. So really, this becomes pretty dangerous here for Pyosik. He doesn't have a smite available, so he can't just straight up one-shot the scuttle, and now he's going to be in some trouble.
They're just coming around, jumping towards EMENES instead. Back underneath the turret, but a lot of damage onto Pyosik. A flash forced out as C9 playing this just as aggressively as you're describing.
Yeah, I just love it, right? It's one of those things that really impresses me about, Blaber at his best, is that people talk about Blaber as a hands player, and I think sometimes that discredits all of the skill he has in his pre-game planning and his pathing, and the way that he actually plans out these early levels is just so intelligent, right? He knows he's going to be in this matchup where he feels he's going to be healthier on the clear. He can actually meet and attack his opponent. He knows that he can play well around these pushing lanes, and he's curating his path to really get the most out of that, right? To be able to go towards bot side, utilize the pushing lane there, invade, steal away the blue buff, and then go for the double scuttle because he has that push mid lane. Even getting the flash out of Pyosik, it's just so nice when you compare to how good of a start Pyosik had last game. He's now put pretty far back, right? He's going to be down in gold. He's going to be down a summoner. So it's much more difficult for him to really exert as well on the map. When you're down that flash, you become a lot more nervous about a potential counter game, right? You show up, you look for that play. If Viego's there, you're probably toast.
EMENES is so far having a really good time here in mid lane as well with the Syndra versus the Akali, just completely keeping him shoved back underneath the turret. But with CoreJJ roaming in, EMENES with a nice sidestep. Might still be forced to flash. Not even that.
Nope.
Really good job avoiding the pressure and absorbing that from TL.
That was really Jensen-esque. To me, that's one of the things that he has always done so well in his career, is these little mini sidesteps and just such calm play. Most players, I think, in that situation just insta-flash when they see that CoreJJ is point-blank W'ing them. Going to be looking for that knockup, but instead, he knows Akali's not really in a position to follow up. Lee Sin's pretty far away. I'm not going to get one shot here. I can look for that sidestep. If I get hit by it anyway, maybe he has to flash after that. But in this case, he ends up not having to use his flash. He's up basically 2 full waves, and he's just in a great spot already.
So C9 has advantage by 2 separate levels here in this jungler and support showdown. Both mid laners looking at the possibility of roaming over. They are both level 6. EMENES, however, does have a rather limited mana pool. He can fire off his ult, he can fire off a couple of spells, but he's not going to be useful for an extended fight. Berserker rotates over first. C9 still just looking to force down this Drake. They want to keep Pyosik away. They don't want to risk some kind of a coin flip. They've secured the Drake, but can anything go back the other way for Team Liquid? CoreJJ goes in, uses his flash to trade away from Sion. Sion joins up in the fight. That's Yeon going to be forced to flash away. Follow-up coming out from Fudge. They find the decimating smash. They find Yeon. They find first blood for Berserker.
What a roam from Fudge. The initial look for an engage there from Core, it's a 2-for-1 on the flashes, so it's great for Core, but then all of a sudden, Sion's coming down. Sure, he's going to lose some farm on top side. Who cares, right? Yeah, your Sion is going to be losing about 10-15 CS off of this roam. There's one plate as well going to Cho'Gath, but your Zeri got first blood. You got multiple summoners. You got the summoner from the mid laner. You got flash off him with that roam, and you got flash and cleanse off of Yeon plus a kill. So this is such a high value play here. It's been a bit of a unique fight because EMENES was 6, so normally that's the point of power for Syndra, but he had never even base, so he's just on a Doran's ring. He didn't really have kill threat. But this roam from Sion was just so good, forcing the flash from Haeri, forcing the flash from Yeon. He's right up on top of him, so he has that knockdown. They even get the cleanse. They get that first blood exactly where they would want it to go, over on a Berserker. And Cloud9 are laughing. This is the perfect start to this early game.
And yesterday when we had Spawn on, he was talking about when you play against Team Liquid, most teams expect to be down a bit in the early game because of the fact that that's where TL shines. Cloud9 is also a team that excels in early game. They excel in skirmishing. They're really good at getting in your face and putting the pressure on, and that's what they're doing. Here in the first 8 minutes of this one, they got the first Drake. They're 1 kill up, 1,000 gold ahead, and you can see the pings already coming out. On my way, on my way, on my way, right as that little marker on the map changes from gray to yellow, showing that the Herald is about to spawn. They immediately have their next plan ready.
Yes, sir. And they know that someone actually moved down, so they know that this is going to be warded up. So Blaber just sweeps that out. Pyosik is in the area, is level 6. and just about has his flash left. There's about a sliver of cooldown left on that, but Blaber's happy to take this fight. If he can actually find the W, he could look for it.
Well, Pyosik did mark Blaber there with the Sonic Wave. Figured, hey, he's probably watching here at the Control Wars and the Pixel Brush. But Blaber and C9 are not deterred. They're going to go straight for the Herald now.
Yep, and Annie is here way faster. So the early roam here from Zven, you can see now it is Core coming up to actually try to match this, but I think it's likely too little too late at this point. He's only getting to mid lane now, and Pyosik's going to have to flash out. Yeah,
Pyosik just losing a summoner spell for free there. Summit's coming down trying to help, but the Cho'Gath didn't even have a feast to try to do anything crazy if they wanted to steal or contest. So Team Liquid, unfortunately, they bring up the manpower to think they can contest, but it's just the timing's not there, the coordination isn't there, and it falls apart. C9 essentially just takes it for free and gets that flash off of Pyosik.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things where it felt like they're in that spot where they realize that they have been kind of beaten to the punch, but they want to try to force it anyway. Ghost's going to be popped here. He's trying to actually look for the root, but you know, he's going to be able to just kite it back. Doesn't have to use flash. Is okay with using that preemptive Ghost to just try to play it safe. But yeah, I mean, there was a much better setup from C9. Support roam was much earlier. They had push on mid lane. You know, they have Prio in the river. They have Vision in the river. So it was very likely to be theirs. But TL wanted to try to see if they could make something happen anyway. And unfortunately for them, they're not able to do it. So they lose a little bit out on that roam. Don't end up getting the Herald. Cloud9 just extends their lead here. And now a minute and a half here until this dragon. He's going to be able to just drop Herald mid prior to that dragon fight and get themselves a really good setup on this second Drake.
Alrighty, Team Liquid still looking to see something out of these guys. Some sort of a play, some sort of a move. Down about 1,500 gold versus C9. You can see the remaining opponents, for Super Week next week. Remember, we start on Wednesday, not Thursday for week number 8. On your screen, Cloud9, the standout opponent among those 4 games remaining to play, including this one. C9's opponents still includes FlyQuest that fell against this Team Liquid team yesterday, but then Immortals and CLG, those are not opponents that are also at the top of the table. So for C9, a good showing here, and then you gotta just deal with FlyQuest. They're sitting in a much more comfortable position, though. I mean, they've already got 11 wins. C9's looking at this like, right, just where am I gonna end up in playoffs? Team Liquid, they don't even know if they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, FlyQuest is looking a lot less strong in the couple weeks than we've been watching previous. You know, at the start of the split, they were on a, 8-0, 9-0 type start. Yeah. They've lost back-to-back games now. They lost to both EG and TL. They also had that earlier loss to TSM. So FlyQuest is starting to drop some games. They're not looking like they're unbeatable anymore. And it is Cloud9 that I think in current form is looking like the strongest team in the league. So they have a real shot here at stealing that first seed away that it felt a couple weeks ago like FlyQuest had pretty much all wrapped up.
Yeah, FlyQuest is still a raid boss. They're just last expansion's content. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, teams have been figuring them out a little bit recently. So we'll see if Cloud9 can keep up their momentum and steal away that coveted #1 spot. As Blaber is going to head back over towards the Drake. He'll start that up. Team Liquid's jungler is here in the bottom lane to be able to help protect them against any sort of aggression from C9. The Herald gets the charge, but the charge does not fully remove the entirety of that third plate. It's still standing with just a sliver. So they don't quite have enough damage to force it down. Blaber's going to get himself off the Drake. He knows that they're only tied in manpower right now, so they can't just force this down. They do have their mid laner rotating over first with EMENES coming down through the river, but they have to maintain enough control in this 3v3 standoff to make it so EMENES can find an entry point. Otherwise, Haeri's going to find EMENES alone, and you don't want Akali being able to jump on Syndra in that isolated 1v1.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Sion TP top, and Summit has his TP, so now this should actually be a TL Dragon. They actually delayed this long enough that Cho'Gath could TP down if they need that 5th man here and help the security even with the feast. Mythic is done for EMENES, but he is on a Crown of the Shattered Queen. He went for that defensive Mythic here against this hard engage. Nice scatter!
Oh, look at that! CoreJJ has to disengage now after looking for the engage there. Haeri's chasing Blaber into the back, wants to find the damage onto the Viego, but not quite going to get it just yet. Summit's teleported in, and Fudge has found his way here with the ultimate. Haeri's taken low, and Berserker takes him out. Now you got Summit on the front line, but he doesn't have any firepower behind him. Core already used the cooldowns looking for the engage, and now Summit's got to walk away. Yeon and CoreJJ separated. Pyosik looking for the kill on EMENES. He's going to find it, but he won't get anything else. Team Liquid, 3v4, Cloud9 with a victory here in the skirmish.
Yeah, big outplays there. The scatter timing from EMENES was so huge on that initial engage. Really forced TL to spend a lot more to try to get to that back line. They do eventually kill EMENES off, but it was so many resources committed to actually getting it. And Fudge, again, has a great ulti drift down here towards bot lane. He hit TP top, Summit TP's mid to try to join his team, but Sion was able to answer because of that ultimate. And Summit is getting pretty far ahead in that individual 1v1 because of those roams. He's getting a lot of plates mid here as well, so that is going to be a very, very beefy tank here in the front line for TL. But again, the scatter was just so good, actually interrupting that engage there from Core. And sure, he has the charm to actually follow it up, and then EMENES kiting off to the side. Really good positioning from him here. And Blaber kiting out away from Haeri for so long that Haeri ends up in this really awkward spot when the rest of the team comes back to peel, that he's really forced out. Berserker flashing over the wall, getting in there, trying to get really, really aggressive. And then the Ghost actually comes off cooldown right here, and he immediately pops it and starts going in for Yeon. So that's that Ghost coming off from that earlier defensive one that we actually saw used from him. I like that he doesn't overcommit. You know, if you chase up into Yeon, you're going to get hit by that Feather Color, you're going to get rooted up, and you're probably going to get burst down by that Cho'Gath and the other members that were there. So not overcommitting. They went out on the fight just slightly. They get the dragon to their name. And Cloud9 still cruising here, looking like they're in a really good spot. There is gold leads in some areas for TL, you know, namely in that top lane, but you would way rather have a rich Zeri than a rich Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I don't care if my Cho'Gath is 500 gold up on the enemy Sion. They're both going to stack past 5,000 HP by the time the game is done. Speaking of which, Fudge going for that Heart Seeker, or Heart Steel, excuse me. Heart Steel Sion yet again. Like making sure that he's just saying, all right, if we're just in this tank matchup, we're just going to be scaling up. I'm going to scale hard.
Exactly, right? And when you are playing tank versus tank in these matchups, I actually really, really like this item because you're going to be able to just slapping each other wet noodle fight all the time anyway. So you may as well just get those bonus stats. Yeah. It's less about winning the 1v1 and more just becoming unassailable later on. Pyosik trying to enter, and TL are collapsing from multiple sides, but the Herald, again, already gone. And I just like how Fudge and Zven are playing to the side, zoning off Pyosik and CoreJJ and Yeon. So even if TL tried to commit from the top, C9 could engage down towards that three-man squad and essentially create a 5v3.
So Cloud9 has 2 Drakes, 2,000 gold lead, and we've just seen now twice Team Liquid try to contest them for a neutral objective and not be able to do it the exact same way. Both Heralds went the same way. So my question to you is, what should Team Liquid be doing? What is the recipe to stop this bleeding from continuing any further and get themselves in a good spot to fight these guys on square footing?
I mean, I think that they have some really good options here. They have some playmaking. You know, when you look at the Rakan, when you look at the Akali, the Lee Sin, there are ways for them to get back into it. But I just think their problem has been every single time it feels like C9 is first to start the objective, C9 has vision on them. And when you're spotting these engagers, they're just going to mark them, right? Annie is sitting there, Sion is sitting there, they're blocking out the engage coming through from TL. So it's so important that they are actually first to these plays, that Core is playing in Fog, that Pyosik is playing in Fog, that they can find angles to get onto Berserker, to get onto EMENES and really threaten them. Because if they can start those fights with a really powerful engage, I definitely believe that they can win out. But if they are slow to these objectives as they have been, C9 is just going to mark your engage and they're going to be really, really advantaged as a result.
Blaber stepping up very audaciously there to contest CoreJJ. Just no fear in his eyes. He knows even if they jump on him, he's got a way back out. As Summit just, again, trying to fight over some vision here in the Cloud9 red side jungle. Going to clear out that control ward. Blaber's just farming his camps, moving back up to the other end of the jungle as Berserker's been left on wave clear duty here at the mid lane tier 1 turret. Unfortunately for C9, not a lot of HP left on that one just because of what we saw earlier after one of the fights where Summit was able to rotate over, use his Demolish procs, wear that down. So it does mean Team Liquid can force down the first turret of the game. It brings the gold lead for C9 back down to about 1,500 from that 2K mark. But still, Team Liquid is looking for that angle that you're talking about. They need a fight to happen on their terms.
Absolutely. And they did try to go in and get some vision in Cloud9's jungle. Blaber has Herald top, so he could actually look to just drop this, but if no action breaks out, I will get into this. But I think it's just looking for a little bit of poking and prodding, and they see Pyosik around here, so they're likely to just back it up. But again, yeah, they moved in towards Cloud9's bot side jungle, and they tried to get some wards down. All of them got swept except for this one. I think Cloud9 has been doing a really commendable job of actually moving in and retaking vision. Anytime they know that TL has entered one side of the map, they move in with multiple members, they drop their sweepers, they place down pinks, and they try to put themselves in a position where they know that they can't actually be flanked. They can't have those TP angles coming through, because that is going to be so important for TL.
Down in bottom lane, the farming continues between the meatballs as Fudge is practically out of mana, so needs to go back to base. Meanwhile, 10 seconds on the Drake spawning as Fudge, his back gets interrupted, and now he's going to be jumped on by enough players from Team Liquid to potentially even kill him. Gets kicked away from the wall he wanted to flash over, but then still is able to flash for the safety of his teammates further up the river. The Herald is summoned up in mid to destroy the tier 1, and now they're also using EMENES to allow it to keep pushing onto the tier 2. Cloud9 getting a lot of damage onto that tier 2 turret in mid of Team Liquid, as TL still looks to grab some sort of a punish here. EMENES still has Crown of the Shattered Queen, so any initial burst is going to be drastically reduced, even if they do get on top of him. Fudge frontlining here, just trying to control anybody in his way. Scatter the Weak from EMENES comes out. Nice connect onto Yeon. They immediately force out the ulti, but Blaber can't get away. He can't use the Heartbreaker in time, and it means that Team Liquid pops the Viego. But now follow-up is there, and CoreJJ is immediately killed. Team Liquid has the run, and Berserker's got his gun. He's gonna take out everybody, making a double. Is he gonna get the triple? Not quite yet. Cloud9, they might have lost their jungler, but they paid him back in blood.
Yeah, that was huge. It was a good initial reaction there from TL, as Blaber W flashes in for the stun there onto Yeon, but he has the cleanse to react, and they CC up Blaber. They burst him down. Congratulations to Berserker as well. I believe that was 300 LCS kills.
Nicely
Didn't
done.
take him a long time to do it.
Not really.
When you're playing Zeri, that's about 4 games, if my math is correct. So it hasn't been here that long. But we can watch it one more time. They're trying to get really aggressive here on Yeon. They're able to land the initial stun, and then they want to go for the follow-up for the 100-0. The scatter lands, Blaber, flash W, but there is the cleanse, there is the CC, charm, W, feast, everything used on Blaber. So no ability for him to actually ult out to get to safety. But then this is where Zven sees them. They're stacking up. Look how grouped they are. They get tagged by the laser. They get slowed down. Flash in, multi-man stun. They find the angle there to get really aggressive. They're all chunked so low. It's not even like Haeri and Yeon can turn and fight. Berserker is so far ahead of the pace. And the E from Annie there being used as like a pseudo enchanter spell to speed up the shielding thrown on to Berserker there, who had the ghost. And it's just straight in. And again, we're in this situation once more where TL is late to the objective. They don't have the setup. Cloud9 again dominating in that regard. Fudge is deep in the enemy jungle, making sure there's no way that they can actually move up. You can see EMENES, as well as Zven, as well as Fudge, are all kind of covering their bases. They just have a couple people on that dragon. They're making sure no one can sneak in for a steal. And we're now at soul point here. And it's going to be an Ocean Soul for a Sion, which is going to make this guy just straight invincible.
That is not a good feeling for Team Liquid. It's already 4K behind, 20 minutes into the game. The difficulty of this game is now insurmountable for Team Liquid. Like, they need an error from C9, and it needs to be a pretty blatant one.
Yeah, I think they need that perfect engage, right? You're hoping that they're stacked up. You're hoping that Cloud9 doesn't have this really good objective setup, because that has been what has made it look so impossible to play for TL, is the fact that C9 always have eyes on them, always are first to the objective. You know, and that's easier said than done. So TL really struggling now. They absolutely have to win the next fight, because when you're going up against Ocean Soul, your copium is always, well, if you burst them down, they don't get much value from it, right? And you're like, well, you just get a burst kill.
Yeah.
But when then you look over and you realize there's a 4,000 HP Sion, you're never bursting this guy.
So
He's always getting value, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the task, unfortunately, for Team Liquid, is to find a fight to stop these guys from getting that Ocean Soul. And it's Cloud9 who don't want to give them the breathing room to do it. They're in the enemy jungle, placing down some vision, sweeping out whatever TL is trying to place defensively, and just making it an arduous task for Team Liquid to go anywhere on Summoner's Rift. C9 are going to step up. Again, Fudge being the point man, as long as he leads the way, they're not worried about anything that he might have to face check, because even if they kill him, they have to commit way too much. Summit's now going to be locked down. C9 putting a lot of bullets there into the Cho'Gath, as Blaber does get away this time. Still has the ulti to disengage with further. Summit lost 2/3 HP. He does not have a Warmogs or something that will allow him to rapidly regenerate. Blaber's going to stay and fight. Does end up getting hit there by CoreJJ. They pop Core's ulti thinking they might be able to get the follow-up CC for the kill, but Blaber gets away in time. And now without that main engage, that Rakan ultimate, Team Liquid's tools are much more limited.
yeah, I respect the attempt, though, because it's actually pretty close to the Q landing there from Summit. And then if the Q lands as well, maybe you can chain a silence in, maybe you can kill him with some sort of burst plus feast coming through. And if you get a kill there, hey, you're right beside Barret. Maybe you start it up, right? So it's playing to win rather than trying to play for those kind of less risky plays, because as you said, TL can't sit back and just play a normal game now, right?
Yeah.
They've got to take risks. They've got to be able to make something happen. Hope that Cloud9 makes some mistakes. Hope that they can find that kind of miracle engage. Because otherwise, you just straight up aren't going to win this from this position. It's also very difficult for them to even find, the burst kills on some of these members because Sion is obviously unassailable. Blaber is going to be pretty slippy. But it's also a crown plus a stopwatch on EMENES, so you can't really burst that guy down. It's a shield bow on Zeri. Options are limited.
Pyosik using the elite. Zven flashing the Papega frog back at his opponent for that kick. As we do have Team Liquid losing their tier 2 here in the top lane. Can't get anybody over there in time to stop it. And Summit, further away from the rest of the team, is again going to be soaking a lot of damage. He survives for the time being, but C9 is throwing everything at him to make sure that he doesn't get away all the way. Summit still at about 100 HP, and Fudge gets the kill. Team Liquid now with a full disengage. Haeri's trying to cut the wave, make it so C9 can't push anything else. He'll assassinate the minions and find his exit stage right.
Yeah, not bad from Haeri. He was trying to look for some sort of a flank, some sort of an ability to engage, but there was just no way. And Summit, sure, he took a long time to kill him, but he was just getting CC'd up, and there was no way for the rest of the team to enter. So now just the ulti gets let rip there by EMENES onto CoreJJ. Just get that chunk. They're not going to elect to actually start up the Baron. They know that TL can't rush the Baron themselves, and they know there's not really any reason to flip it against a Lee Sin who's on red side and has easy access to the pit. Just play towards Soul, where it's very low risk for Cloud9. Face up, spend your gold, get in the best position possible here, and they're just going to look to be at maximum strength here. Mage Eyes with no stacks for just up for EMENES, which I'm not sure that's maximum strength.
It's
but it's definitely maximum confidence.
Book with no pages. As long as you're far enough away from the guy, they can't tell if there's no pages in it, all right? It might just still look scary. It's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, if they can't read.
Yeah. Lee Sin can't see. How can he read? So he cannot read the book.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going to have to read how to play this perfectly. We need to see one of the greatest Lee Sin flash kicks of all time or something for Team Liquid to find a team fight here. Because like you're talking about, man, EMENES is so durable between stopwatch and crown. You can't kill Fudge. If you focus Blaber, it's probably not going to result in a win because it's the jungler and they have so many other threats.
You have one target.
Yeah.
Berserker only, and even he's going to be hard to kill it and actually fight through. And he just got his IE, by the way, so he's on his ultimate power spike. Summit has no flash. He could just be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, Summit's just taking a lot of damage. Blaber getting hit by a couple of spells here too. Down to about half HP. Defensive ulti back over the wall from the C9 jungler. Summit's down to, man, like 30%. Not a whole lot left in the tank. And EMENES just executes him with the Syndra ulti. Remember, that's part of the ult now.
Yeah, gonna be able to get that kill. Nicely done. And now C9 are onto this. They gotta get in there, but Pyosik's not even close. The soul's just gonna be gone, but they're looking for the fight.
CoreJJ tried to go in, but he's reduced to almost no HP. He still has the quickness, but there's nothing to use it on. C9s, they secure the Ocean Soul. They get the kill on the enemy top laner. He's dead for another 20 seconds, and they march to Baron.
Yeah, this is the thing with Ocean Soul. When you grab that, there's no risk to starting up Baron infinitely. You just heal up over and over and over and over. You're never gonna run out of health, never gonna run out of mana. So you just keep starting this up, and you keep fishing for picks. And Pyosik there does show, so they know where he is. They actually connect the scatter.
Pyosik trying to do anything to maintain some sort of a possible angle to steal this away. They know they need some sort of a miracle steal. Haeri goes in and finds a kill on Zven. That's a good start, but they need to find more. Team Liquid's bringing the back up, and Summit has re-arrived. The Baron is at 3,000 HP, 2,000 HP. Pyosik goes into the pit. Team Liquid are thinking about maybe stealing it away, but now they got to be careful. The team's all split up. Berserker's going to be focused, but Yeon's going to be killed. It's Blaber taking the kill as Yeon dies. Summit dies. Core dies. Team Liquid dies, and C9 outplays him again. Haeri and Pyosik, the last two alive, on the run, and C9 goes back to where they started, back to the Baron.
Yeah, right back to the Baron. It was a good initial kill there from Haeri, but even with Cloud9 playing it pretty risky here around the Baron, TL just doesn't have the damage to punish. If Summit had his flash from earlier, when Pyosik went in the pit, it was at 2K, but he just didn't have the time to actually get it down while his team was losing that team fight. So unfortunately, no one could actually flash in and join him, in EMENES now pushing Pyosik out of mid lane here. They're pushing up multiple waves at this point. They have the Baron. They're going to go back, buy it up, try to get to that maximum power spike. You can see Fudge even working his way towards a redemption. He knows his role in this game. It is just to frontline. It's just to enable his carries and keep him safe.
EMENES did his homework. That book's half full now. It was all just the proper strategy, saying, all right, we're going to get in a fight. There's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of value.
Why would I need pages now when I'm going to kill you very soon?
Get pages later.
Yep.
All right, Sven's over the wall. He's got his flash. He's got his ult. The anti-follow-up to any sort of a scatter that would land pretty much guarantees the kill. Team Liquid does not have the cleanse available for their Xayah. Even though Yeon has his ulti, if he just gets chain CC'd straight to death, there's no way he's going to get a chance to use it. Fudge, meanwhile, maintaining split pressure here in mid. The Sion up to about 5,000 HP now.
Thanks.
Teleport from a long way away from
right
Haeri. This is the Hail Mary from Team Liquid. They're saying this is how we do it. This is pretty much our only chance. Summit's gonna walk over. The tier 3 turret is not gonna last long enough. CoreJJ tries to go in. He's just stunned up, has to run back. Fudge ready to finish him off, and he grabs the kill for the killing spree. Yeon is all the way in retreat, and Pyosik tries to cover his exit, but the weak are scattered, and Cloud9 are looking to end the game. Yeon and Pyosik run back to the tier 3 as Haeri goes into the back line only to die. Blaber takes the kill on him, and EMENES looks for another execution, this time on the top laner. C9 gets it done as soon as they get the Baron. EMENES zones away the remaining 2 players, and the Nexus turrets are next in line. Yeon tries to defend, but he's stuck back in the spawn platform. Team Liquid may have taken down FlyQuest, but C9's a whole different beast, and they're gonna take the win in 29 minutes.
What a weekend here from Cloud9, looking so damn good. This one was dominant start to finish here against Team Liquid. Never really gave him a chance to actually get into it.
No.
Just such clean objective control was the name of the game. I don't think that there was anything that ever really got taken away by TL. As far as, Dragons, as far as the Rift Heralds, as far as the Barons, every single one in this game went to Cloud9.
And if you remember Team Liquid's win yesterday, it was Pyosik's Lee Sin, reading Spica's pathing, being able to find him, outplay him. In this game, it was Pyosik who was getting invaded early on. It was Blaber who used the priority of his mid laner to be able to say, all right, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to mess with you, challenge you at your camps, double Scuttle Crab early. They didn't allow Pyosik to have that level of control because he was always having to just fight for his own life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the pregame planning from Cloud9 was really in full effect here. Utilizing pushing lanes really, really well, playing around those points of power, utilizing that pushing lane and bot lane to actually be able to invade and harass him at the blue. He didn't steal away the wolves, but he did get the blue. Right. Puts him in that difficult position, and then is able to use that to then go straight towards bot side scuttle, take that. Then he has a pushing lane mid. He's going to use that to get top side scuttle, force out the flash from Lee Sin. All of a sudden, you're down in XP. You're actually down in your resources in the game to really be able to actually set yourself up. And it's just such a hard spot, right? It's like, we talk so much about, oh, well, TL needs to be first to the objective to really be able to make anything happen, but they were never able to do it. Cloud9 always preempted them, always had better vision control, always tried to make them enter through this choke. And it's sure, you have these great forms of engage, but like, how the hell are you supposed to use them when Berserker is a full screen